Let me try to start following the Mizzou and Chicago players. This is a heavyweight battle between two top Division 1 teams. I do not want to miss them. All right, so it looks like we already have a game here between the bottom board from Mizzou and the top board from UChicago on Wonder Leong versus Chris Repka. So here we go. Let me adjust the scoreboard. Unlucky pairing for UChicago. Why is that? Here we have Raja versus Praveen. So Raja apparently got the GM norms and the rating and everything. Basically, Mizzou has 3 GMs and an IM, but their IM is basically a GM. So they basically have 4 GMs, which is the maximum number of GMs that you could have on a team, you know, because there's 4 players. But yeah, Praveen just recently got the GM title, and they got it updated here on chess.com, so you know it's legit. You know, FIDE could tell you you're GM, but until you have the GM title on chess.com, you know, I'm joking around, obviously. But yeah, this is going to be a fantastic match here between two absolute heavyweight teams. UChicago beat Mizzou earlier this season in the regular season, 9.5 to 6.5. So this is going to be the rematch. Mizzou looking to get their revenge. They were missing Oprah Grigory, who is here playing against Wizard Bar. So we are missing a game. I don't quite see it yet. Here it is. So we have William Greif, National Master for Chicago, playing against Antipov Mikhail. So yeah, I think we need to switch around these two players, but it's not a big deal. So yeah, this is going to be huge. If UChicago's bottom 2 boards can get anything going, they get any upsets at any point, that'll be a huge deal. That's what UChicago is going to need. Their top 2 boards are they're fairly evenly matched. You know, we got 28.75 for a Wonder Leong. We got 29.44 for Oprah and Grigory. The board 2 for Mizzou, 27.86. Board 2 for UChicago, 28.14. So who knows? We will see. We will see. Yeah, Raja, board 3, 27.76. I mean, every game to look at is going to be incredible. I think we should we'll stick to a Wonder Leong here. So what is happening here? Okay, take on f6, take on d3. Bishop could take on c6 with check, but you don't want to give up the, well, maybe you give up the fianchetto bishop to double isolate these pawns. A rook on e1 would be strong, so a knight move, threatening rook e1, so the king gets out of the center with castling. What is up, Count Live, tuning in. So Count Live potentially will be joining me for commentary on the finals. We will see. Okay, queen d1. Wait, so queen d1. What is queen d1 doing? Queen d1 wants to come out this way, putting pressure on this king here. So black has like bishop here, rook to the center, queen here, just taking away these squares from white's queen. Bishop develops here, pressure here, hit the queen here, queen steps back. We can expand, maybe lock in the queen here, rook to the center, maybe rook e2 at some point. So yeah, Chris trying to take down the top board. So if UChicago is to win this match, they need their top players to perform. If Mizzou can get any upset wins against the top two players from Chicago, that they will be in really good shape. Also, it's important to note UChicago took a penalty point to substitute a player last minute. So UChicago will need to win the match 9-7. If they win 8.5 to 7.5, we will go to overtime. So that is good odds for Mizzou. Let's check in with their top board. Grigory's got 4.5 minutes. Wizard bar down to the last 40 seconds. Huge time disparity. Actually, Chris Repka has less time, 20 seconds, to Red Nova's 4 minutes. So bishop here, pinning the knight. I guess the threat is to take this. So the queen has to get out of the pin. Now the rook enters. This was a huge threat, so pawn blocks the queen's view. Also, comes with a punch, as this rook is also attacking d2 for the second time. So we have a trade of rooks. Pawn recaptures, now offering a queen trade. Also, knight here, was this? No, the queen's defending this. Okay, so now we have check here, but after takes, I think that, yeah, it takes here, and now there's knight takes. You have to go back, but too little too late. We have the first result. Red Nova getting the first point for Chicago. Now we have this game about to finish. Again, similar time pressure. Board 1 against board 4. 4 minutes to 20 seconds. It seems as though this position is fairly even. This was a threat, giving check, discovery on the queen. So we can't take this pawn right away. Queen also now supporting the rook, hitting the queen here. Queen steps back. So now this pawn is hit, so the bishop defends that. Now rook here, threatening checkmate. Rook defends this. Bishop might want to come in this way. White's doing good here against Grigory. This could be a huge upset for UChicago if they can upset Grigory, their star. So the rook is hit, queen steps over to defend. If you move the rook, you might lose the pawn. So the rook is a little bit pinned. Black saying, let's get these queens off the board. So even though the position is fairly even, the clock is definitely lopsided in favor of Mizzou. And looks like Grigory has consolidated his queen positioning, making his king a little bit safer. I think like putting pressure on the bishop might be a good plan, because you get the bishop on the long diagonal. So queen here, threatening mate on g1. So rook defended by the queen. blocking the first rank, so queen steps up, and now the bishop trying to infiltrate on the dark squares. Force the rook off of f8, weakening the f7 square. So the king steps up, trying to cover these squares. Now the rook takes back the 7th rank. I like, okay, this check, mate soon? I don't know. Does black have mate now? Check, king here. Pawn, oh, queen takes. Yeah, that's GG. He pre-moved that so fast. So yeah, in time pressure, Grigori able to convert. Here we have Praveen versus Raja. So Raja down to the last 30 seconds. So the two top boards for both teams getting a win. As expected. Wizard Bar putting up a heck of a fight to make it that close, but in time pressure ultimately succumbing. Is that a free knight? I don't know. No, there's probably mate soon or something. I guess white's threatening to just trade off queens, or maybe to put the knight here, hitting the rook. But then from there, I'm not sure. Maybe knight here. So Praveen is up 2 pawns. This is a connected pass pawn on the d file. Although Praveen has 2 isolated pawns that are doubled on the h file. So 13 seconds though for Raja. A minute for Praveen. Let's check on with William and Antipov. So William is up material against Antipov. William is the player that they substituted in. So he cost the team a penalty point. But if he can get a win here, I mean, that is more than worth it. That is more than worth it. Knight g4, maybe looking at a f6. This rook cannot leave for the sake of back rank. Do you dare take this? Probably not. You take on g7. So now we have knight versus bishop. A knight on d4 would be really good, as this is an outpost square on a dark square. So we could have good knight versus a bad bishop. Rook takes with check. Now, okay, rook d7, preventing back rank, but also, oh my goodness, William is up 3 pawns against the Grandmaster, board 2, from Mizzou. Here we got Raja down to the last 8 seconds. The rooks are forked. Knight here. Threatening, I don't know what, some sort of check, but you take back here. Pawn hits the rook. Rook hits the pawn. So I guess the threat is to give check and then take this. This knight in the corner, not a lot of squares. You can go here, but you're going to have to move again. This rook keeps pushing. Rook hitting both. This defends that. If you take this, you're getting forked. 20 seconds. King attacking the rook. Also attacking the pawn. Rook here. Defending everything. Only 15 seconds now for Praveen. Pawn check. King here is forced. Knight here to win the pawn next. So Praveen's probably going to lose this pawn. Now Praveen's short on time. But Raja's still going to be down a pawn. 5 seconds. Pushing this pawn. Now the knight's going to reroute here. Knight back. Hitting this. The rook is hit by the knight. Knight can take this pawn as well. There goes the d pawn. No, check first to grab this, but there goes that pawn. Another check. Now the king saves this. What's this knight doing? Check here is going to be mate. 2 seconds. 1 second. You have no move. Here, you free up this square, but there's going to be a queen. Praveen wins against Raja. So the board 2 for Chicago with a point. I'm missing... No, I'm not missing. This is the last game of round 1. We got 20 seconds to 6 seconds. Can the National Master pull off the upset against the board 2 Antipov? Knight check. Knight's going to d4 next. Nope. Knight check again. A little repeat. Pawn push. King up. 2 seconds, 4 seconds, knight check. No, you don't want to give up the h-pawn. King goes back. As soon as the g-pawn moves, there's this check. So if you play g3, you self-mate. Just don't play g3. Don't play g3. They're going to have a repeat. 1 second. 3 seconds. Rook moves. Bishop here. Rook check. Now this pawn is hanging. The bishop's hit. Pawn push. There goes the b pawn. The GM making some progress. Now both sides 5 seconds. This pawn is hit. This pawn is hit with check. They trade off. King here, threatening to win the knight. You can go rook here. 1 second. Move the knight, defending this. Bishop can attack. Okay, there goes that pawn. This could dwindle down to a draw. But a draw would be a great result for the National Master regardless. But they still would have liked to have won the game, obviously, as they were doing much better. They were up like 3 pawn. We have a draw offer. Declined the draw from Will. Obviously, the side with the pawn going to try to play on. Trying to advance the pawn. This should just be a theoretical draw. Wow. So, in time pressure, huge defense from Antipov. This half point, we will remember this. This could be huge for the overall results. So yeah, the players I think are waiting for this game. And yeah, they draw. So half point each. That is still a good result for Chicago. Obviously not as good as it could have been, but they will take it. They have the lead after round 1, 2.5 to 1.5. All right, so round 2 underway. Now we got a Wonder versus Raja. She lost to Praveen in the first round. Looking to maybe be the first player to beat a Wonder in this match. A Wonder loving to play quickly against his opponents. Putting time pressure. So bishop here, pressure on the knight. Bishop here, pressure on this knight. So can you take and take? Is that a free pawn? I don't know. Maybe this pawn hangs at the end. Maybe this pawn hangs at the end. I don't know what's going on. Okay. They don't do that. Probably you don't want to give up the bishop for the knight. So attacking the center. Just taking here. So now what? Now the knight develops. Is Red Nova forking these pieces? I doubt it because of rook here. So rook pinned the knight. Not taking on b6. Take on b6, maybe rook here first. I'm not sure. But temporarily up a pawn if black doesn't take back here. Yeah, Red Nova only having spent 5 seconds. Raja already down to 3 minutes. Let's check in with Grigory against Will. So Will had a huge draw. I don't see what's happening here. They're deciding on how to take back. So they take with the knight to defend b7. That was hit by the bishop. So yeah, position's still fairly even. We have opposite color bishops. It's wrong on the scoreboard. Oh, it should be for Greif, yeah? You're right. Thank you for catching that. Okay. Let's check with Praveen and Chris. Yeah, Praveen 4.5 minutes. Chris 2.5 minutes. So over 2-minute advantage for Praveen now. And looks like f4 will be following soon for white. Taking some space. Kicking the black pieces away. Pawn here. This looks like a free pawn to me. f4 knight here. I guess attacking the bishop, but we can take this, no? Knight takes, queen takes. This knight's gonna be hanging. I guess. What is this? Is this pawn weak or something? Queen takes defends this. Queen takes c4 looks free to me, but I don't know. Queen takes, the knight is hit, right? So where does the knight go? Knight could take here. And then just simply rook recaptures. Yeah. So, okay, knight here, threatening a fork, but okay, also opening up the bishop. I think maybe just queen b3. Should be good enough. There is check though. So maybe queen d3 and give up the b pawn. But even still, Pravina's up a pawn. You can give up the b pawn. Your b pawn is doubled and isolated. So not too important. Maybe also queen to e2 with the counterpunch on the knight. You save everything. Yeah, so queen e2, there's bishop check. You put the king in the corner, and your queen and rook cover the f2 square. So only going for e3. So now maybe bishop takes b2. Bishop takes b2 maybe. But still not great for Chris, who's now under 2 minutes. Let's check Antipov. Antipov is going to need to answer back after that draw. They're going to need some makeup points here. So how are they doing? We have both sides castle, queen side. Black just took on a4. So yeah, black had this knight hit. There's 0 retreating squares and could only go to a4. So we have this trade here. Essentially white pushing b4, forcing black to put a pawn on a4. Kind of weakening Wizard Bard's king safety. King steps aside. Maybe the plan is for c4, rook c1. So Antipov's looking good here. Oh, we have a result already. Chris resigned to Praveen. So let's see. After you hang the c4 pawn, you took on b2. Oh, that is almost inexcusable. Bishop a3. I don't know what happened there, but Praveen is now 2 for 2. Expanding Chicago's lead. Here we have a wonder against Raja. Materials even. Looks like Raj is going to take this bishop. Or you can leave the bishop. You could play e5. Hanging the knight, but threatening back rank if you do take. If you try to make a flight square with the h-pawn, then knight takes, forcing the f-pawn to recapture and isolating the e-pawn. Also, this pawn is hanging. A wonder pushes the pawn. Now the pawn pushes. This bishop's kind of a dead piece. So black is looking good here. Raja gonna get some points back for the Mizzou team. Perhaps, unless, you know, a wonder is up over double Raja's clock. We're forcing the knight out of here. Does the knight capture or does it retreat? Probably you don't want to take the bishop because a wonder's going to have a couple moves to make before the bishop becomes enacted or alive again. And just to check with Operin won their first game, looking to win their second game. He's actually the only Mizzou player to win their first round game. So let's see. Operin taking on f7 now. Threat is to take on h6. Also f4 seems pretty good. f4, maybe walk the king on over. No, so taking on h6, very directly just taking a pawn. This king is trying to get back in time. Now we have f4. So white is set up to win this one. We had a rook trade here. Knight attacks this pawn. Knight defends the pawn. This bishop is still staring at a rock. Knight goes here. Defending this. So this is to kick the knight out. So now the knight has to move. Raja, though, very low on time, right? A wonder loves to play the clock. Here we have, okay, knight check. Do you have to take? Do you want to take? Allowing this bishop to get in there. So takes, bishop takes, or maybe b takes. What is this material imbalance? Wizard Bar is up in exchange against Antipov. Wizard Bar is very low on the time though, but they're doing really well on the board. Rook to b1, trying to pin the queen to the king. The king steps aside. Now bishop takes on a3 is a threat. How do we... Also, is this a threat? I don't know. Can we take here now? There's probably bishop check, right? So the king steps off a dark square. Is bishop to c1 an idea? Maybe bishop f1 should be played. Pressure here. Wait. Oh, queen here also attacks the pawn. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, this looks like a tough spot for Antipov. Antipov not doing too hot as a board too. Here, a wonder is starting to get low on the clock as well. The knight is hit. The knight is threatening a fork, hitting here. Oh my god, William and Operin drew. So, I mean, okay, maybe it's not shocking, but... sacrifice here. Very smart. Very smart. So, wow. William Greif taking down the top boards with some huge draws. Both sides here, 15 seconds each. Pawns pushing here. Pawns on light squares opposite this dark square bishop. So Raja this whole time has been leaving this bishop on the board to a wonder's demise. Both sides under 15 seconds. We had a result. Praveen beat Chris. Oh, I already had that, right? Wizard Bar beat Antipov. Oh my god. 5-2 is the score right now. UChicago with a 3-point lead over Mizzou. Their bottom two boards have a point each against the top two boards. Huge result for UChicago. Knight check. Okay, pawn push here. Trying to break down White's pawns. The bishop's trying to come back. We have e4 on the board. 2 seconds for a wonder. There goes a pawn. Better king positioning for black. Pushing this pawn through. The knight defends this. We have resignation. Raja stopping the bleeding. Taking down the top board from UChicago, who now has a 2-point lead. They had 1-point lead going into this round. Now they have a 2-point lead going into the second half of the match. Raja, though, with a huge point against a wonder. If a wonder won that one, Mizzou might. I don't want to count them out if a wonder won that game, but a wonder did not. Raja getting a huge point there for Mizzou, taking down the top board from UChicago. So this match is far from over. Antipov still looking for their first victory, hoping to follow in their teammate Raja's footsteps to take down a wonder Liang. Players are flying through the opening here. Both sides already having castled kingside. I wonder one move away from completing development. Couple queenside pieces for Antipov still need to come out. Slowing down a little bit here. We'll see if a wonder can still match the speed. Oh, they're thinking here too. So I wonder, starting to chip away at this time. Still above the starting time. Still playing speedy fast. Bishop back at the corner, bishop back here. Very solid. Alright, so what's happening here? Knight hits the bishop, bishop steps up, defending the pawn as well. So yep, a wonder now up a minute on the clock. We have Grigori versus Praveen. This is a big match as well. Board 1 versus board 2. Every match is big. Chris, the only player still at 0 points. Mizzou's going to need some production from the board 4. So we have bishop pair versus knight pair. Both sides have double isolated pawns. Williams up a pawn though. Yeah, no, this is a huge matchup. Here we have Raja versus Wizard Bar. It looks like Wizard Bar is up a pawn, but black can take on d5. And they do so. Now, white still has a couple pieces to develop. Wizard Bar is also up on the clock against Raja. Maybe we should stick with one of the top boards. Alright, so there goes the b7 pawn. The trade of queens. Knight here takes on b7. So Antipov is up a pawn, threatening to take on a6 as well. Does a wonder have a response? Or are they just down a pawn? So Antipov still looking for their first win. This would be huge for them. Okay. Yeah, Antipov's looking solid here. Antipov, rough first half, but maybe they're a second half team player, you know? Let's check with Grigory and Praveen. Ooh, hold on. What is the follow-up here? Wow. Rook takes f8, followed by rook takes c5. That's what the computer is saying. There's no way to save the knight with chess. So you would get 2 pieces plus the pawn for 1 rook. Very interesting tactic there. Instead, we have bishop to f4 from Grigory. Praveen up a pawn, actually. So maybe getting lucky, missing that rook f8 tactic. So knight back, hitting the bishop. Grigory up on the clock, but thinking here. So what does Praveen think? Praveen's king's still in the center. I don't know if they can castle or not. I don't know if they want to castle. Castling queen side. This bishop's there. The knight could take. Maybe pawn takes. This is a connected pass pawn for Praveen. And they're up a pawn. Now the clock's completely even. Let's check in with Antipov again. So a wonder has 2 pass pawns, but one of them's attacked. The other one's also attacked. Yeah, white is up a piece for 2 pawns. Very interesting. Black could take on h4. So that's the move that's been played. So now white has a choice which pawn to take. They take on a6, getting rid of the outside pass pawn, keeping all the pawns in the center on the king side. So now that the bishop is hit, bishop maybe can go here. We could have d4 defended by the rook. So maybe bishop to d3, hitting this pawn. Yeah, a Wonder's pawns are kind of bad. And Antipov is up a piece as well as up on time. So yeah, again, if Antipov could get a win here, that's huge for them. They go back to e2. So now we have d4, advancing the pawn, defending it with the rook, putting it on a dark square. Let's check with Grigri and Operin. So the king has to move. We have knight check. There's bishop takes, queen takes. Bishop check. Queen takes with check. Didn't you just lose? Oh wait, rook. Oh, rook check here. King b8. Queen here. What if this? What's the plan here? Maybe they block on e7. A queen check, king here. Okay, taking on c5. $30 seconds for Praveen. Opening up the B file. Maybe there's rook b7 ideas. Bishop takes c5. This is defended by the queen. There's rook takes, queen takes, but like this king is so exposed. And also, Praveen has 2 pieces. Grigori's down 2 pieces. And I don't see... There's also pawn push, discovery, which looks pretty bad. Praveen should win this one. Wizard Bar took down Raja. Unbelievable. Rook takes b7. Queen check. King b6. Kind of forced. Now rook check. King here. Queen check. King here. And now, yeah, this is defended. There's another queen check. Okay. King takes a3. Queen here threatening mate. There's d3 discovery. 13 seconds for Praveen. King here. Rook here defending the mate. Rook check. King b4. There's another rook check, but that's about it. 7 seconds. 5 now. 8-second rook check. King d2 maybe. The checks are running thin. Rook here, but yeah, queen here threatens mate. Rook here. There's the bishops in 1 second. Nah, resigns. Praveen taking down the top board. How's Antipov doing? Antipov 1 second. Antipov is up still. Bishop versus pawn. 1 second. Taking another pawn. There goes this pawn actually defended by the check. Bishop block. Maybe pawn push. No. Rook it's behind. So rook here. The threat is to push this pawn. Yep. Rook has to go here. We have rook check and queen. Here though, queen. There's got to be mate, right? Yeah. So a wonder goes down. Antipov getting their first win. Antipov now at 1.5. Praveen beat Grigory. Did I give him his point? I don't think so. I think Chicago is 7 to Mizzou's 4. We have one game left here. We got Greif versus Chris. We got one. This is another one of those draws. One pawn versus the rook. So okay, the king's gonna make its way to the g file. We're gonna push f3. No. f3 and king g3. Rook a8. Yeah, you got to get behind the king to give the checks, right? Yeah. So we have a draw. Agreed. So another. Well, that's Chris's first point. He's up on the board at least. Greif is at one. He's drawn every single game he's played, I'm pretty sure. So UChicago is 1 point away from 8.5. They are down. They are penalized a point for the substitution. So if they get one more point, they're guaranteed a tiebreak. They need 1 point out of the next 4. This might be the bracket buster. I think a lot of people chose Mizzou. A lot of people underestimating UChicago. Even though UChicago beat Mizzou in the regular season, a lot of people, I mean, myself mainly, attributed that to Mizzou missing Grigory. But Grigory and Antipov both struggling against these Chicago players. Only 1.5 points out of 3 games for the two of them. Praveen has been dominant. He's 3 for 3. But really, the star of the show has been UChicago's bottom 2 boards. A combined, 500%, 50%, I should say. They're at 3.5 out of. No, never mind. How many they played? They're over 50. They've been putting in really good work against the Mizzou team. So Mizzou, I mean, it's like they need a sweep to win. No, they don't need a sweep to win. They need 3.5 to win outright. But they need 3 out of 4 for overtime. Black is looking good here. Antipov taking on c5. These pawns are doubled and isolated. Rook hits the queen. So no castling kingside for white. Castling queenside doesn't look too appealing either. But this rook is now lifted. Potential pressure on black's kingside. We have c4, getting rid of our doubled pawn with tempo. No, just bishop develop. Here we have a Wonder versus Grigory. A Wonder winning their first game, losing their next 2. So Grigory looking to capitalize on a 1 for 3 a Wonder. So these are the 2 top boards going at it. Chess Jawa in the chat, the captain for the Chicago team, cheering on his A-team players. A Wonder's thinking here. 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes. All right, so a wonder at 2.5 minutes decides to play f3. Grigori, bringing the knight back quickly. A wonder, bishop to c3 immediately. Grigori now under 4 minutes. Grigori with f4. No, e4. There's knight f4. Knight f2. Now there's e3. Maybe, I don't know if e3 is any good or not. It looks annoying. The knight would probably just go back to d3. You could take on f3. Not sure if that's that good. Maybe you could play f4. Yeah, you guys play round 5. If you refresh the Play CEA site and tell Florian, who might be in the chat, he could help you guys out. But yeah, 8-8 ties overtime. So you play round 4 again. That is Sacred Heart in Division 8. Okay, capture on f3. Queen steps in. Queen offers trade. 2 minutes to 3 minutes. Let's check in with Praveen's game. Praveen is up. He's got 2 pieces for a rook. Both kings on the center of the board. Pawn check. Dude. Queen takes... I don't know. The computer is calling for castle long, which is just wild. But pawn check, queen takes, which I kind of goofy. I don't know. But king to d2 now. Now, probably one of the 2 rooks to the center, right? Trying to infiltrate. This was... these kings are so exposed right now. This is a fighting game. I feel like this game could go either which way. White probably better with perfect play. Computer's calling for this move. Yeah, that's wild. The king is just so naked and exposed. The rooks have not moved. This queen is defending. Yeah, and Praveen finds it. Praveen finds the move. Praveen playing the computer move. Let's see, Raja versus Raja's 40 seconds to Greif's 3 minutes. Dude, Greif's been playing out of his mind. I don't know, man. This is some he's drawn every single game. He might have been winning. Greif could draw this this game here. He's in Armenia. Okay, so Greif is what? Up a pawn, it seems, but it's doubled. But it's his clock advantage. It's so big. He's attacking the bishop. Bishop tucks back, opposite the queen. Knight moves pretty quickly for Raja. Let's check in with our top boards again. This game looks fairly even. Both sides with a light score bishop and a knight. White has a little bit more space on the queen side. The pawns advanced an extra rank compared to Grigory's. But black's pieces were a little bit more advanced than white's pieces. But these pawns kicking the knight back. This knight now has no moves. So not the best piece on the board. Potentially the worst piece on the board. Check back in with Antipov. So we had knight check. Queen does not take. Queen check. And now black. Wait, no. King steps up. This does not come with check, but offering a queen trade. Oh, I didn't mean to. Wait, can that? No, that cannot be played. I didn't mean to predict that. So Antipov, 15 seconds to Praveen's minute. They should probably trade queens. I mean, your king's a lot safer. They give queen check, but now king goes somewhere. Well, you don't want to go to dark square. You don't give this up with check. This is gonna hang, right? If you go here, maybe there's rook here or something. So king to c2, pawn takes with check. King dodges that. Now, do you take this? No. But what else? There's bishop check. There's knight check. So yeah, queen takes, and now bishop with the pen. You can't take the pawn. There's rook check. No, rook here first, and then rook check. So are there any queen checks? No. There's queen takes pawn. Rook check, king down, straight down. Or do you go to e1? Probably not. e1, there's pawn push. King steps up. King steps up. Rook e2 check, king over. Rook up. Queen takes another pawn. There's some checks as well. You can play. Queen check here. 2 seconds for Antipov. Queen takes pawn with check. This should be completely winning for white. 2.9 seconds. Black's only hope is to promote, but this king is just so naked. So exposed on the board. There goes there goes everyone's D1 bracket. But Chicago has a penalty point. 1 second. 2.7. Probably like rook c1. Right? 19 seconds for Praveen. Queen here, very interesting. Hitting the rook. Rook hits the queen. Queen check, force the king up. 15 seconds to 2, 1, 0. Move. Oh, Antipov flags. Couldn't come up with anything. So Chicago just needs a draw on any board. Oh, I just exited out of. Hold on. This game, both players under 10 seconds. So Praveen, flawless, 4 for 4 against the stacked Mizzou team. Praveen playing magnificently. Wizard bar down to 2 seconds. Rook takes. Queen's under siege. Rook here maybe. Wait, but the queen could take this. Rook here, threatening rook takes. Trade of queens. This is still a threat. This pawn is penned. 6 seconds. William Greif wins against Raja by flag as well. So UChicago moves on. They're guaranteed a semifinal spot, which guarantees them $1,000. Mizzou is officially eliminated. That is wild. That is wild. This is the first time Mizzou hasn't made it to the semifinals in the history of the league. This is our season 3. They've made it to the finals both years so far. So yeah, Chris beat Wizard Bar, so their first win, but too little too late. William Greif at 2.5 out of 4 against this Mizzou team. 3 draws and 1 win. Phenomenal performance from the last minute substitute for the Chicago team. So, yeah, we're down to this last game here. What's happening? Grigri getting the pawn, and a wonder resigns, but yep, that is the final score, 9.5 to 6.5, even with the penalty points, 8.5 to 6.5. So Chicago moving on. They're going to play the winner between Berkeley and UT Austin, which should be played later tonight.